What's up guys, my name is Sawyer and today's video is 5 steps to actually growing followers on your Instagram. I'm making this video because I've actually broken down 5 steps that I truly believe are the keys to growing on Instagram. And there's a little bit of credibility to this if you don't know who I am. I'm a photographer who has like 750,000 followers on Instagram. I started out at 0 like everyone else. However, I started in a time where it was a little easier. If you had a small following and you posted a decent photo, you got on the popular page. So that every time you posted a good photo, you were getting featured on the popular page and new people were finding you. But now in recent years, since they've done away with the popular page and they've made your feed a little more algorithmic, it started to hurt creators' chances of growing, their actual interaction, their audience retention. Every single aspect to Instagram has taken a little bit of a hit because some of the changes. When I use these 5 steps on my own photos and my own account, I grow about 1,000 followers a day. And when I don't actually do these steps, I grow only about 100 a day. Either way, I do have a little bit of an unfair advantage because I already have some of a following. But whether you're just starting out or already a massive creator, following these 5 guidelines will dramatically increase your chances of growing an audience on Instagram. Step 1, finding your flow. Now, when I say finding your flow, there's 3 things that I'm talking about. I'm talking about your feed consistency, the individual style of your feed, and then thirdly, and my favorite aspect to manipulate, the color of your feed. Now, I talk specifically on feed rather than individual photos because people don't follow you from individual photos. They find your photo, they click your profile, they look at your feed, and then they make the choice to follow you. So regardless of if it's something you want to admit or not, feed does take a massive part in actually gaining you followers. When you have a very, very attractive feed, you're able to attract more people to click that magical follow button. So for these 3 points, we'll touch on the first one, feed consistency. How do your photos look together combined as a work? Not just individual photo. When people go to your feed, what do they look like together? Do they feel clustered? Do they feel bunched up? Do they feel really clean and vibrant? A really good practice here is to find someone's feed that you admire and then try to break down why it works so well. That brings us to the second point, style. Does your feed or your profile have a distinct style? If someone looks at it that doesn't know who you are, can they quickly identify the type of photographer that you are? So an example, take my feed for example. I classify myself as a travel lifestyle photographer only because that basically means that I can take pictures of anything happening around me, anything on my travels, and anything going on in my life, and it will fit the style of my feed. Now, if I try to make this like a modeling feed all of a sudden, it will not work the same. So finding this style, if you can get it down to like 2 or 3 words, that's even better. But figure out what kind of feed you want, what kind of feed you have, and what kind of feed you aspire to one day have. The last point I touched on, which is how you color your photos, that does come down to editing, and you have 2 different roads that you can go here. One, spend tons and tons of hours learning color correction and figuring out how to manipulate photos to look the way you want. Or another very popular route is using color presets. A photo preset or a color preset is basically just someone else's guidelines of how they colored their photos transitioned onto your photo. So even myself, I sell my own preset pack. It's called Sawyer Hartman's Lightroom Presets, and the link's in the first line of the description. Thousands of people have downloaded them, they're using them, they look really great. But basically those presets came around because I made them for myself. Even though I can color photos to my full ability, it helps me to have some presets already put aside so that when I start editing my photos, I can choose a style that fits that series of photos and edit them all so that they fit within one another. It's one of my personal little hacks. You can do it your own way, however you want to do it, but I do recommend checking out people's Lightroom presets, whether they're mine or someone else's. They can benefit you greatly. Okay, so that wraps up step number 1, finding your flow. Step number 2 is a huge one, and that's join the community. And I don't mean like tweet or Instagram DM your photo to like hundreds of top creators hoping they share it. That's not what I mean by join the community. That's trying to use the community. The first one is leave very smart, highbrow comments. Leave comments on people's pictures that are a lot more than damn you're hot or fire photo bro. Leave something that asks a question that the creator can actually respond to and interact with you with. This is actually probably one of the hardest parts of Instagram, is getting to know creators when you don't know them, building relationships out of thin air, trying to find common ground with some of the people you look up to. That brings us to point number 2, start a dialogue. And that's not just with top creators, also engage your viewers, your commenters, engage the people who are interacting with your photos. Thank them for it, push back on them, get them giving feedback, start a dialogue and build a relationship. The third step of joining your community is interact and inspire. Get out there, try to take photos that inspire other creators to get out and take photos. They'll comment on yours, you can comment back, all of a sudden you're collaborating or you're going on a trip together or God knows what. But that's a huge part of it. Make friends with the community. Don't try to use the community right away. Just find genuine friends there and the rest will follow. Okay, enough with that. Now, find your voice. And this isn't just finding your voice via photos. This is a simple step that you probably have overlooked. The caption area of your photos is not the place to flood with hashtags or to put spam about your new video. I've done it, but it's not what really captivates people. Your caption should inspire and also document what it was like to be there when you took this photo or you appeared in this photograph. You want to approach it from a writer's standpoint. You want to paint a picture of what it was like to maybe smell or see or feel or what the emotion and experience was of actually being there. That shit will get people interacting. That is a real moment. It painted the picture. You felt what it was like to be there. I gave you some imagery. I gave you everything you needed to fill in the blanks that the photo couldn't do. Brings us to step number 4 for growing a following on Instagram. Aspire to inspire. What you're trying to accomplish with this step is becoming a trendsetter on Instagram, even if you don't have the following of one. Try to look at things a little differently than other people have. If you're at a great location that you've seen other photographers at before and they've taken the obvious photo, sure, take the photo, but try to find some other ones as well. This is the step of actually incorporating some of the filmmaking and photography techniques of foreground and interesting subject matter and using colors. This is your place to actually show off a little. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but just try to approach the photograph from a viewpoint that you just genuinely haven't seen before. Someone who's been to that location and missed that photo is going to see that and go, wow, what a great photo from that place, and I didn't even see that. This guy must be good. That is how you start inspiring the people that you aspire to be. Another really, really good tactic for this, and a friend of mine, Peter McKinnon, said it pretty perfectly, you want to use your weaknesses as strengths. My favorite thing to do is put one lens, a prime lens, on my camera, take that with me, and I take the photos that I can with that lens. The restrictions that only having one lens put on me actually push creativity. By having a 50mm prime, you can't get that wide landscape shot, so you have to find the story that's within that. You gotta look a little closer, you gotta get a little bit more creative. That goes the same for if you live in a location and you don't have the ability to travel every week. If you live in a snow-capped mountain and you're just looking through your feed of like summer Cabo places or Tahiti or Bali and you're like, damn, if I was somewhere like this, then I could get photos that would grow my following. Chris Burkhardt is one of my favorite photographers and all of his photos just take place in the snow. I'm always at the beach going, oh, I wish I could get photos like him. But who knows? He could be sitting in a snowy cabin somewhere looking at my feed going, God, I wish I was at the beach to take photos. Always shoot with what you have because it's easier than telling yourself, oh, if I could get this or if I could get here, then I could take the photo. Because when you get there, you're going to come up with another reason for why you can't. Train yourself to just shoot what's around you. Brings us to the next point within 4, which is it's okay to try and fail as long as you're actually trying. You know, you don't want to try and fail to copy someone's photo, but you do want to try and fail on 50 original photos because if one of them works, then you have something truly distinctly you. Keep trying, but try not to make the same mistake twice. But even making the same mistake 1,000 times over is better than not trying in the first place. So finally, this brings us to our 5th step of how to grow an audience on Instagram, and that is to not get distracted, which is probably going to be the absolute hardest thing you face throughout this entire list of stuff. I'm going to list off a couple of the ways that I've gotten distracted and you might get distracted in the future so that if you ever see yourself doing them, you can correct it immediately. You do not want to get distracted. If you get distracted, you will not arrive at where you want to go. Just like if you get distracted doing your homework and start watching Netflix, the homework does not finish itself. To arrive at the finish line, you have to remain focused and push away everything distracting. I have found statistically when I post every single day, I grow a following. I have noticed that when I post consistently good photos every single day, my following goes up like crazy. I have noticed that some of my friends who post only one photo every week or every month, but it's an incredible photo, they grow as well. So here's where you have to decide what type of account are you going to be. Are you going to be only the best photos you've ever taken on your account type of account? Or are you going to be, I post every single day and try to make them as high a quality as I can with the time I'm given? I've chosen to be this account because I've set up a website where I'll put only my favorite photos and people can go there if they want to see my body of work. My Instagram is just about being social. It's social media. I need to keep content going up all the time about where I am and what I'm doing so that I can inform the people who actually follow me and care. But don't flip-flop between them. Choose the type of account you want and own it. The second point of not getting distracted is don't get down on yourself. It's when you scroll through your feed and you get something called viewer envy. You follow all of these amazing people in all of these amazing places in the world and you're scrolling through your feed and you start to get the idea that everyone is everywhere except for you. You're looking at one guy who's in Europe and one guy who's in Egypt and one guy who's in Australia, but they're only one place just like you're only one place. When you look through your feed as collectively, you just see everyone being everywhere and you're just stuck in your house. Don't get distracted by that. Some of the most creative photos you can do are when you're limited to where you are and you have to get creative. Also, if one photo doesn't perform as well as the others, it's okay to look at the analytics and try to figure out why, but don't lie to yourself about why. If you have a food blog and you post a photo of your dog and it doesn't do that well, it's not because you have an ugly dog or people don't like your dog, but people follow you for food. So it was a little out of character to post a dog one. The next step to not getting distracted is to collaborate. Don't get sucked up in your own growth, your own audience, your own ego. Don't not collaborate with someone because they're a smaller account than you, because every single follower that they have that doesn't follow you has never seen your shit before. And even if 10 of them come over, that's 10 new followers. The last 2 points of the 5th step are the exact same. I don't even know why I wrote them twice. Take new opportunities and take risks and adapt or die. Always go with the flow. When it comes to photography, when it comes to any type of art form, it's like fluid, it's like liquid. You have to go with the flow. You have to roll with the punches. And then finally, adapt or die. Just like Instagram used to be this website where if I posted a photo, it got on the Pop Your page and it gained 10,000 followers, awesome. It isn't that anymore. And I have adapted by figuring out this manifesto of best practices that help me grow. I've tried my best to adapt to the new system, to not hate Instagram or to be pissed at the followers it doesn't reach anymore. I've adapted and I'm growing again. And that's the biggest lesson I can teach you. Don't get stuck in your ways if they don't work. Don't get mad at things that are outside of your control. Just enjoy what you do. Try your hardest. And try to make the world a little bit of a better place. And I'm sure somehow it will work for you. If any of you guys following me have found best practices of how you grow on Instagram or things that have worked for you, please comment them down below. Let's create a little community on this one of people who want to help each other. I make videos 3 to 4 times a week of all of my travels throughout my life, as well as some photography tips. So make sure to subscribe if you already haven't. I love you guys very much. I'll see you beautiful people in 48 hours from Hawaii. Get out there and keep shooting. Best of luck. Best of luck. Not the shame. Not the shame.